Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, a deadly storm outbreak, the cost of eggs dropping, and March Madness kicks into high gear. A severe weather outbreak leaves a trail of destruction. Dozens of tornadoes confirmed across at least 9 states, with powerful winds up to 190 miles an hour.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
A father and son watching as a twister passed right by them. A bus landing on the roof of this high school as powerful winds fuel wildfires, putting more than 50 million Americans on alert. Ginger is tracking it all.
The Trump administration ignores a federal judge's directive sending hundreds of alleged Venezuelan gang members to a prison in El Salvador with no due process, invoking a centuries-old wartime law to deport them. The response this morning.
This morning, egg prices are dropping. What's behind the drop and how soon you could see those lower prices?
Spring break mystery. New clues in the disappearance of the college student who vanished in the Dominican Republic. Images showing her swim cover-up and sandals on the beach as authorities confiscate the passport of the last person they believe saw her. What he's telling us this morning.
New details in the investigation to Gene Hackman's death. When authorities now say his wife died, why it matters in determining who gets the Oscar winner's $80 million fortune.
Stranded in space, NASA astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore are one step closer to returning to Earth when they could finally return home.
I feel like dancing.
And we feel like dancing. 68 men's and women's teams ready for the big dance. Auburn, the #1 overall seed for the first time ever. UCLA with a top spot on the women's side. This morning, we're helping you set up your bracket as we get ready for March Madness.
Live from Times Square, it's Monday. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. We hope you had a good weekend. Robin is excited about the brackets, but if you haven't filled yours out yet,
Will Reeve's going to help us out.
Exactly.
You said you're getting chills already.
I just
thinking
seeing the
about
excitement. Just seeing the excitement from the teams.
Well, top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Take a look at the Chicago River dyed green, of course, for the celebration. And we'll be live at the New York City parade this morning.
Yeah, it's a big one here in the city. But we're going to begin, of course, with a deadly storm system that just tore through the country. Dozens reported tornadoes across 9 states, dust storms, wildfires, leaving towns devastated. Ginger is in Tylertown, Mississippi for us with the latest. Good morning, Ginger.
Yeah, Robin, no matter how many times we see tornado damage, it is still so striking. Right in there, you can see the tree that has kind of a cabin wrapped around it, the inside, the carpet kind of showing off there. And any structure that's even still standing is just punctured by these giant pine trees. Now, there are heavy hearts as many people are waking up without their homes or without their loved ones across so many states. There were 970 severe storm reports in more than 24 states this weekend. This morning, the death toll climbing after a 3-day tornado outbreak tore across at least 9 states. At least 40 people killed from the system that brought wind-driven fires, dust storms, and dozens of twisters.
That's a tornado.
12 people killed in tornadoes in Missouri alone.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
Stunning video from Rolla, Missouri, capturing the moment a father and son watched from their car as a tornado passed right by them.
Oh, man.
3 people were killed in hard-hit Tylertown, Mississippi. An EF2 tornado, winds up to 111 miles per hour. It's kind of amazing to think here at the Paradise Ranch RV Resort that no one was hurt. Many of the cabins were not occupied at the time. They are just a mangled mess in between what looks like a clear cutting of these pines by that tornado. The manager tells us they are so grateful it happened this weekend and not next when they expect more than 250 campers here. In Alabama, an EF2 tornado with winds up to 120 miles per hour hurtling this empty school bus into the old Winterboro gym. The roof and many of the walls gone. Near Mobile, at least 3 killed. Anita Owens' mother, one of them.
You wouldn't think just a wind and tornadoes would do this much devastation.
And in Arkansas, the National Guard deployed. This family's house gutted.
There's a silence that happens before a strong storm hits you. And I said out loud, oh no, this is not good.
The Drope family's home was destroyed as a tornado passed through Paragould, Arkansas. It was the second tornado to hit their neighborhood in less than a year.
You just thank God no one was injured or killed. You're just so thankful you're alive.
The arrow in this image pointing to where they took shelter during the tornado. Miraculously, that spot, the only part of their home still standing.
In that photo, it literally looks like God just had his hand right there over us, because that's the only part that has the roof left.
In Oklahoma, powerful winds with the same system fueling wildfires that have destroyed nearly 400 homes.
Oh my God.
One person capturing this frightening video as she drove away from her home. Fires on both sides of the road. Our Maria Villarreal is near Norman, Oklahoma.
You can see right behind me the damage that was done to this metal. And now the same area of Oklahoma is facing another round of critical fire danger in the coming days.
The severe part of the storm is gone, but there's some lingering rain that's kind of mucking up the commute along I-95. You can see it there from Raleigh all the way up across New Jersey into Connecticut. Boston, Massachusetts having some downpours of heavy rain. This will all be out of here by the afternoon and evening, but our attention's now on the next storm, and that's with the big time wind. The wind and the relative humidity as low as 10% in parts of Oklahoma again, Texas, Kansas, but some of those alerts go up to Illinois and Iowa for the red flag warnings. Now there's a critical fire danger in the area you see highlighted there, and then by tomorrow it goes to the highest level, extreme, in West Texas and the Texas Panhandle. We'll keep an eye on that fire danger, but George, we'll head back to you.
Boy, that is a danger. Okay, Ginger, thanks very much. We're going to turn now to the legal battle over deportations. Over the weekend, the Trump administration deported hundreds of Venezuelans that it says are gang members, despite a judge's order to turn the flights around. The law at issue dates to 1798. A constitutional clash is likely looming. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is tracking the story. Good morning, Mary.
George, good morning. Well, we are now seeing a real showdown between this administration and the judicial branch. The White House this morning is celebrating this move, insisting the president is acting within his authority to speed up deportations, despite that directive from a federal judge that these Venezuelan immigrants be returned to the U.S. immediately. This morning, hundreds of alleged Venezuelan gang members are waking up in prison in El Salvador after the Trump administration rapidly deported them, ignoring a federal judge's directive. This video shared by El Salvador's president shows the alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang arriving in San Salvador Saturday, just hours after a judge ordered planes carrying the men to immediately return to the U.S. Trump over the weekend invoking the Alien Enemies Act, an obscure wartime law from 1798, allowing the government to deport non-citizens with little or no due process. The law last used to play a role in the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II.
I'll simply say they never should have been allowed into our country in the first place. It's our responsibility to protect our families, to keep our streets clean and safe, and that's exactly what the president said he was going to do.
But after some non-citizens represented by the ACLU sued the administration, that federal judge, in an emergency hearing Saturday, ordered any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States, adding this is something that you need to make sure is complied with immediately. The two planes already in the air, sources tell us the administration made the calculated decision to ignore that directive. Sources say the planes carrying the alleged gang members took off during the hearing, the administration eager to get them in the air out of U.S. airspace and over international waters before the judge's ruling. In response to that order to turn the planes around, the president of El Salvador, a Trump ally, posting, "Oopsie, too late."
They needed to be brought back, and the judge absolutely had authority to do that. The United States government, the executive branch, defying a federal court order raises the stakes enormously, not just in this case, but for how we're going to proceed as a constitutional republic.
But the White House this morning insists the administration did not violate the court order and that the president acted within his authority, claiming federal courts have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs or ability to remove foreign enemies. Now, all of this is coming as a Brown University professor, Dr. Rasha Alawi, a kidney transplant specialist, has been deported despite having a valid work visa and despite a court order temporarily blocking her expulsion. A Lebanese citizen, she was detained last week after returning to the U.S. from visiting family and put on a plane out of the country, again, despite that court order. A hearing in this case is expected later today.
Okay,
George.
Mary, thanks. Let's get more on this from our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl. John, let's start with the deportations to El Salvador. We just heard Mary say the administration knew they were defying the order. So this is likely to head perhaps to the Supreme Court.
Yes, George, as Mary reported, it was we are told, a calculated decision to ignore the judge's directive. The hearing on this is rather extraordinary. The hearing on this had already started before those planes took off. It was before the judge actually issued the order, but it was after it was quite clear the judge was skeptical of the use of this 1798 Aliens Enemies Act. By the way, that is an act that has only been used 3 times in all of American history. So the judge was clearly skeptical of it. And then when the order came, the order was clear that even if the planes had taken off, they were to turn around. Let me read you what the judge said. You shall inform your clients of this immediately. Any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States. Now, the White House says that this is an order that was an extraordinary imposition on the executive branch, that the judge simply had no authority to interfere with the president's conduct on national security and foreign affairs matters. But as you also heard Mary point out, this has huge implications for the other court cases working their way through right now on other actions by this president.
Which is why it's likely to go to the Supreme Court. And the Brown University doctor had a valid work visa. So what authority did the administration use to deport her?
Well, her attorneys say she had a valid H-1B visa to be an assistant professor at Brown University. By the way, she's educated in the United States, Washington University, Yale University. We'll find out more on this at today's hearing.
Meantime, the president also claimed overnight that the pardons issued by former President Biden are void for the January 6th committee members, but the pardon power in the Constitution for the president is absolute.
It is, and by the way, there's no indication that President Biden signed these with an auto pen. That's what President Trump is arguing, that this were signed with an auto pen and therefore they're not valid. We don't know that they were signed with an auto pen, but even if they were, it's unclear that that would be an issue. In fact, President Bush back in 2005, the White House did a study on this and determined that even orders signed with an auto pen are valid orders. That proposition's never been tested in court. I guess the big question here, though, George, is does this imply that that President Trump wants to actually prosecute members of the January 6th committee?
John Carl, thanks very much. Lindsay?
All right, thanks, George. President Trump also ordered large-scale airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen over the weekend. Our senior political correspondent, Rachel Scott, has the latest on that. Good morning, Rachel.
Lindsay, good morning to you. And this is the most significant military strike that the president has taken since returning to the White House. And it does come with a very stark warning to Iran. The president announcing on social media that he launched what he called a decisive and powerful attack against Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen. Writing on social media, they have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircrafts, and drones. The president then demanding that Iran stop supporting the Houthis immediately, writing, "Do not threaten the American people." Their president adding, "If you do, beware, because America will hold you fully accountable." The White House then releasing these photos of the president monitoring the strikes from Florida, dressed in golf attire and his signature red baseball cap. Now, a senior administration official says that multiple leaders were taken out, and another official says that the Houthis did try to retaliate, firing several drones, at least one missile. Those drones were intercepted, the missile landing in the Red Sea. No U.S. vessels were hit, Lindsay.
And Rachel, also on the foreign policy front, President Trump is also expected to talk to Vladimir Putin this week. What do you know about that?
The president said overnight on Air Force One that he is planning to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow. And this comes as the U.S. is still trying to broker that ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Russia not fully committing, though, saying they want some concessions from Ukraine, Lindsay.
All right, Rachel Scott for us. Thanks so much, Rachel.
And Lindsay, now to a big week for the U.S. economy, beginning this morning with an important read on retail sales. Trevor Alt is here now with what we can expect. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Robin. And of course, we know that all of last week it was a very bumpy ride on Wall Street, with President Trump's trade wars leading to a massive sell-off. And now a lot of Americans fearing a recession could be next. Well, this new data does not exactly clear things up. We got this morning's retail sales report for February. It showed an increase of 0.2%. So that is lower than expected, though it does show that consumers are still spending. It's up from January's decrease of about 1%. So this is a mixed report, but we know investors have been looking for any indication with all this volatility, and they know that they're going to be paying attention to this as trading gets open this morning, Robin.
And we know later in the week an interest rate decision will be made.
That's right. So the Federal Reserve expected to begin meeting tomorrow, and then we're expecting that decision on Wednesday. Now, at least for now, the expectation is that interest rates will probably hold steady as inflation is still above the Fed's 2% target. But the Fed did cut rates 3 times last year for a total cut of 1%. That ended a series of hikes that were designed to tame inflation. We should know on Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. All right. Trevor, thanks to you as always. Now, March Madness. The brackets are set after Selection Sunday, and Will Reeve is here with all of the excitement. Good morning, Will.
Hello and good morning, Robin. It is that time of year. Everybody gets so excited to fill out their brackets. Everybody hoping for their one shining moment.
This morning, 68 teams celebrating their names being called for the big dance as March Madness kicks into high gear. For the first time in program history, Auburn selected as the #1 overall seed in the tournament, led by SEC Player of the Year Janai Broome. The other top seeds in the men's bracket are Duke, Houston, and Florida. St. John's University is a 2 seed. Their head coach Rick Pitino becoming the first coach to take 6 different schools to the tournament. He's won national titles already with Kentucky and Louisville. St. John's set for a showdown against Omaha. The Mavericks making their first tournament appearance alongside other debut dancers, UC San Diego, SIU Edwardsville, and High Point.
Oh, wow, look at that reaction. And show it out. Big time. Caravan 3. Count it.
Meanwhile, 2-time defending champs UConn are looking for a three-peat, but they've got a tough road ahead, seeded 8th in the West region.
Richard, yes.
They could face one of the favorites, Florida, in the second round. And on the women's side, it's the first time the Ivy League has 3 teams competing in the madness, with 10-seed Harvard securing their spot for the first time in 18 years. Columbia and Princeton playing in the first 4. And up top, UCLA, USC, South Carolina, and Texas are the #1 seeds. UCLA, the top seed overall.
The tournament officially kicks off tomorrow. The first 4, those are 8 teams, including North Carolina. They're the last team in, vying for those remaining 4 spots. And coming up in just a bit here, I will get into a little bracketology with the group here. I'll have some stats for you. And
I have a team to root for now. My alma mater hasn't made it in so long.
Yes! There you go. All right, everybody's got some skin in the game.
Thank you, Will. Coming up, Ariel Rushev is in the Dominican Republic with the new developments on the college student who went missing while on spring break. Hey, Ariel.
Hey there, George. Prosecutors are questioning the man they believe was last to see that student, and they've now confiscated his passport. What he is telling our team here in Punta Cana. That's coming up.
All right, thanks, Ariel. And the new details about the death of Gene Hackman and his wife, and a potential legal battle over the Oscar winner's estate.
Plus the possible crack in egg prices.
Coming up, get your March Madness brackets out. Will Reeve is helping us fill ours out. We know George already has Columbia going all the way.
We are feeling a little superstitious. The one and only Stevie Wonder has some exciting news. He's been announced as the final headliner for this summer's BST Hyde Park Festival. It's all part of his Love, Light, and Song tour.
So talented. First new at 7:30, NASA astronauts Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore are one step closer to returning to Earth. After an unplanned 9-month stint in space on Sunday, the relief capsule docked successfully at the International Space Station. They'll take a second docked spacecraft back home as soon as Tuesday evening. A Los Angeles man was awarded $50 million in a lawsuit against Starbucks after he was severely burned and disfigured by hot tea that spilled in his lap at a drive-thru in 2020. The jury found an employee failed to secure the drink in its takeout tray. The man's lawyers say the injuries were permanent and life-changing.
More than 75,000 bottles of International Delight coffee creamer have been voluntarily recalled across 31 states after illnesses were reported. The affected items are Cinnabon Classic Cinnamon Roll and Hazelnut coffee creamers with Best Buy dates in early July. The FDA says the illnesses are likely temporary with a low chance of severe outcomes. And an American won the Los Angeles Marathon for the first time in 31 years. Illinois native Matt Richman crossed the finish line in just under 2 hours and 8 minutes, nearly 3 minutes faster than the runner-up.
Wow, that is something.
Congratulations to him.
Now we have new developments in the disappearance of the U.S. college student who vanished on spring break as officials question the last person they believe to have seen her that night. Ariel Reshef is in the Dominican Republic for us. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Robin. Today could prove critical to this investigation as sources tell us officials are getting closer to deciding how long to carry out this search after 12 days and few answers.
Overnight, ABC News speaking with Joshua Reeve, the 22-year-old from Iowa, who police say was believed to be the last known person to see Sadiksha Kananki. Reeve telling our team in Punta Cana, "I just hope to go back home." When we asked what happened to Kananki, he replied, "No comment," but added, "It's very sad." His lawyers say he's being held illegally in his hotel. He is not a suspect and is not facing any charges. But ABC News confirming authorities have confiscated his passport. Officials have said Reeve has cooperated from the beginning. His attorneys say Saturday he walked with prosecutors to the beach where Kananki is believed to have vanished. Police confirming these two images show her swim cover-up and sandals that were recovered on the beach. Police have said they believe Kananki drowned, but the painstaking search for answers presses on. Officials reviewing this new surveillance video captured the night before Kananki went missing on March 6th from inside the Rio Hotel nightclub, showing the 20-year-old and Reeve appearing to get sick. According to a transcript obtained by ABC News last week, Reeve told prosecutors he and Kananki met the night before she vanished, drinking with friends before staying at the beach, just the two of them, around 4 a.m. He allegedly said the two were kissing in the ocean when they were slammed by a large wave, and they both struggled in the rough surf. Sources familiar with the investigation say prosecutors are looking into possible contradictions in Reeve's story. He apparently told them, "I was holding her under my arm and swimming. It was hard. I was a pool lifeguard, not the ocean. Then, when I finally touched the sand, I put her in front of me. Then she got up to go get her stuff since the ocean had moved us." He added, "She was not out of the water since it was up to her knee. She was walking at an angle in the water." According to the transcript, Reeve going on to say, "I asked her if she was okay. I didn't hear a response because I began to vomit with all the water I had swallowed. After vomiting, I looked around and I didn't see anyone." He told prosecutors he passed out on the beach and awoke thinking Kananki had gone inside. Hotel cameras capturing him returning to his room that morning.
Again, Reeve is not a suspect, and this is still being treated as an investigation into a possible accident. His attorneys tell us that he has been under constant surveillance in his hotel room, and they expect him to face more questioning later today. Lindsay?
All right, Ariel, thanks so much. Turning now to the steep fall in egg prices. Rhiannon Alley is here with what's behind it and when you can start to expect to see those lower prices. Good morning, Rhiannon.
Good morning, guys. That's right. Finally, there is some good news. These are staples in all of our fridges. A lot of people love eggs. Many of us have them. And finally, I have some good news for you. The USDA says wholesale egg prices dropped for the third straight week, and it's a pretty big drop. The average wholesale price nationwide fell to $4.15 per dozen. So let's put that in perspective. That is down about $2.70 in just 1 week. Prices were over $8 at the end of last month. So part of the reason for the steep drop is people were put off by those high prices, so demand is lower. The other reasons, experts say, are because bird flu outbreaks have decreased. And get this, Easter is really late this year, so demand isn't that high right now. However, USDA also says declines haven't been reflected at store shelves yet, so you still may see those higher prices. But experts say consumers should start to see those prices drop by the time Easter finally rolls around, just in time to dye those Easter eggs if you celebrate. I got started early with St. Patrick's Day. You see, we were dyeing stuff green yesterday, so I'm ready for it.
Very fun. Thank you, Rhiannon. Investigation into the death of Gene Hackman and his wife. Authorities have offered a new timeline about when she died, which could play a role in where Hackman's fortune goes. Trevor Alt is back with the details. Good morning.
Good morning, George. It really speaks to the mystery in this case that authorities are still updating and altering the timeline in the deaths of the Hackmans, and these details could really be the difference in answering who inherits their fortune.
This morning, a surprising update in the death investigations of Gene and Betsy Hackman. Officials now say Betsy called a medical service the morning after she was previously thought to have died. The Santa Fe sheriff says early February 12th, she called Cloudberry, a medical concierge service with credentialed doctors.
That would indicate to me
that she was seeking medical advice or medical help and may have not been feeling well.
A Cloudberry doctor described that call as an inquiry about an esoteric treatment, saying there were no signs of breathing issues or distress. The office called back twice, but never heard back. Investigators say Betsy Hackman died of hantavirus, a rare illness transmitted through rodents. She was last seen publicly February 11th, picking up a prescription at a pharmacy while wearing a mask. She was previously thought to have died that night, as several emails she received went unopened and unanswered. Jean Hackman is believed to have died a week later of advanced heart disease with Alzheimer's complications, and that timeline could now play a factor in the couple's wills. Jean left his $80 million estate to his wife and did not name his children. Betsy left her estate to charity.
If Betsy passes away first and then Jean, his will, in a sense, would become void because the individual he wanted his items to be passed to no longer exists in the eyes of the law. His estate and everything he left in his will would go to probate court, where individuals can argue that they should receive the benefits of Jean Hackman's will.
And we do know that Jean's son Christopher has hired a California trust and estate attorney. Authorities, meanwhile, have said that they were going to continue to investigate the case to finalize this timeline. I mean, it really could make a difference in where tens of millions of dollars end up going.
This is so sad all the way around.
The entire story, yes.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. You can see the ABC News special, The Last Days of Jean Hackman, tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central on ABC. It's also streaming on Hulu.
Back now with our play of the day and more on March Madness. The men's and women's tournaments are all set, and an estimated 60 to 100 million brackets are filled out each year. Will is back.
Yeah, I feel like I have 100 million brackets just right here. I'm going to pass these out to the class.
I'm just going to write down whatever you say.
I ran out of paper clips, so George just doesn't have paper clips. You got a men's and a women's. Now everybody has their bracket. It's time to get cooking here. The odds of scoring a perfect bracket, 1 in 9.2 quintillion. For the rest of us, it's just about having fun, playing with your friends and coworkers, so you guys can fill those out at your leisure, but I've crunched the numbers and I think we're good to go.
Is there something we should avoid?
You don't want to be too bold. I know it's so fun to pick all the big upsets and stuff, but it's really not. If you pick a team seeded 12th or lower to make it all the way to the Final Four, that's never happened before. 11 seeds have made it, but when you want to choose the tournament champ, you don't want to go lower than 8 seeds. It took one of the greatest upsets in college history when Villanova beat Georgetown in 1985. So
I'm
you don't
still
do
good
that.
with Columbia. They're at 11
The 11 seeds tend to make some noise, so there's a good chance there. But the rounds themselves, George, when you're doing an office pool or something along those lines, you just want to make sure you have your Final Four as close to intact as possible. You don't get dinged too much for not picking the 13 seed to upset the 4 or whatever it is.
And then how about a Cinderella team? How do you decide which one could just have that little fairy dust?
Let's go with Drake. They're the team, not the rapper. It looks like it could be a real giant killer. The Drake Bulldogs, 67th in the power ratings in the NCAA, but they won their 3rd straight Missouri Valley Championship. They force a lot of steals. Who do they play? Where are they? I've got them winning. They play Missouri, and then I would have them beating Texas Tech and then losing to Rick Pitino in St. John's. That's what I've got here. But there's always good for an upset. And
Who's
Drake
your Final Four?
Lots of chalk, which means high seeds. I've got Auburn, Florida, Duke, Tennessee, with Florida beating Tennessee in the men's. And then the women's, SC versus SC. South Carolina versus Southern California, with Southern California winning.
Juju,
why not?
Yes.
She's so good. But these are all going to be on fire by the end of the week.
I don't see UVA anywhere. What's going on with the Cavaliers?
I don't know. I don't think they made it here. I'm not sure.
Is that right?
That's all right.
Yeah. It's okay. They've won a title.
Keep hope alive. And to get started, just go to ESPN.com to fill out your own bracket. And coming up, we're going to keep on dancing with the women's tournament. ESPN's terrific trio, Elle, Shanae, and Andrea, are all here. Also ahead, the new matchups in GMA's ultimate on-screen coaches bracket. Come on back.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. A severe weather outbreak leaves a trail of destruction. Dozens of tornadoes confirmed across at least 9 states. Powerful winds up to 190 miles an hour.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
A father and son watch as a twister passed right by them. A bus landed on the roof of this high school as powerful winds fuel wildfires, putting more than 50 million Americans on alert. Ginger tracking it all.
Is your bracket ready? March Madness heating up.
By the defense.
It's time to fill out those brackets for the biggest tournament in college basketball. And this morning, it's a full court press. We have 3 of the top basketball analysts in the game. Everything you need to know for a slam dunk tournament.
And we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day, cooking up something special with Chef Bobby Flay. And he's saying,
Good morning, America.
Live from Times Square, it's Monday. Good morning, America.
Actually, top of the morning to you. A lot to celebrate. Look at that great crowd that we have outside here in Times Square. They are ready. Oh, that young man right there. I'm telling you, I went outside. I got a little Lucky Charm.
Look at that.
A group from Omaha out there. Also, Lori Bergamato is here with the spring clinging gear that social media loves.
And even though it's March Madness, basketball diehards will still be looking for more action. And you can look no further than the unrivaled basketball league. The Women's Basketball Postseason League is one step away from the inaugural championship title. Last night's semifinal brought the drama. And of course, Robin, you were going to be there front and center in Miami watching it all.
I'm telling you, those 2 games last night, they were nail biters. But it's the Rose and the Vinyl and the championship game tonight. And I will be courtside there in Miami. And I'll be live from Miami for you on Tuesday morning.
We are looking forward to that. First look at the top stories breaking today. We start with a severe storm system that tore through the country. Dozens of tornadoes reported across 9 states. Ginger's in Tylertown, Mississippi with the latest. Good morning, Ginger.
Yeah, good morning to you, George. Heavy hearts this morning for so many people as we've got the tornadoes that came through taking lives and homes. This is a cabin here in Tylertown wrapped around that tree, shattered windows. I mean, it's a wreck. But also, even anything that is standing has this giant pine puncturing it. This is after more than 970 severe storm reports across more than 24 states. This morning, the death toll climbing after a 3-day tornado outbreak tore across at least 9 states.
Oh, it's here. It's here.
3 people were killed in hard-hit Tylertown, Mississippi. It's kind of amazing to think here at the Paradise Ranch RV Resort that no one was hurt. Many of the cabins were not occupied at the time. They are just a mangled mess. The manager tells us they are so grateful it happened this weekend and not next when they expect more than 250 campers here. In Alabama, an EF2 tornado hurtling this empty school bus into the old Winterboro gym. Megan Scarano from our ABC affiliate WBMA is there.
Just completely destroyed. You can see through the building's ceiling with pieces of debris everywhere.
And in Arkansas, the Drobe family's home was destroyed.
You just thank God no one was injured or killed.
The arrow in this image pointing to where they took shelter during the tornado.
In that photo, it literally looks like God just had his hand right there over us because that's the only part that has the roof left.
The severe weather threat is gone, which is great news. But what we do have to watch out for is the new threat for wildfires because it is so dry out in the plains ahead of the next storm. You've got red flag warnings that go from western Illinois back to the New Mexico and Mexico border. So I want everybody there just to know that any fire that starts tonight, tomorrow, this is going to spread rapidly. Critical fire danger goes through the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. It also includes those same areas so hard hit around Oklahoma City. Then tomorrow, the top level. This is a 3 out of 3 extreme fire risk in West Texas and the Texas panhandle. We'll head back to you guys.
And Ginger, all weekend long, you just helped so many folks. I hope that you know that, Ginger, and we thank you so very, very much. Now we have our first images of Pope Francis since he was hospitalized a month ago. Marcus Moore joins with the latest on the Pope's health. Good morning, Marcus.
Hey, Robin, good morning. This is an encouraging image indeed for the faithful who for weeks have been praying for Pope Francis during his illness. And this is the first time we've seen the Pope since he was admitted to the hospital 32 days ago while suffering from pneumonia in both of his lungs. The Vatican releasing this picture showing the Pope seated in a wheelchair in a private chapel inside the hospital. And he does not seem to be on oxygen in the photo. We know the Pope has been undergoing physiotherapy, including breathing exercises as he recovers. And given that the Pope is 88 years old and quite fragile, doctors have been very closely monitoring his condition and rather cautious about his prognosis. But I think it certainly says a lot that the Vatican has released this picture showing that the Pope is improving, though they've said that the pontiff's recovery is slow and will take time, and it's unclear exactly when he might be released. And over the weekend, he thanked everyone, including children who have been praying for him, and he also asked to continue praying for peace in the world. Lindsay.
So many praying for him. All right, Marcus, thank you. Now to New York's St. Patrick's Day parade getting underway this morning. Phil Tate from our station WABC in New York is live along the route. Hey, good morning, Phil.
Lindsay, good morning. We are at the kickoff of all the festivities here at the world's largest and oldest St. Patrick's Day parade. I want you to take a look right now as several folks have lined up along the barricades here on Fifth Avenue. So much cheer. You can wave. Good morning to you. There's so much excitement here, and on average, organizers expect around 2 million spectators. Now, you can take a look at these barricades that the NYPD had put up along the route that's going to make sure everyone stays organized, as Irish pride will be on full display, from the sights to the sounds of dancers, pipe and drum bands, and other marchers that will fill out the massive Fifth Avenue celebration. Now, the parade's grand marshal this year is a 75-year-old Michael Ben, a retired carpenter from Queens. Now, this year will be a special tribute to the 9/11 heroes and special guests from Governor Hochul to Mayor Adams. Robin?
All right, thanks to you, Phil. Always good seeing you here on WABC and here now on GMA. Now, our friend Dick Vitale, the college basketball analyst, was courtside for his last game of the season over the weekend. Got emotional about his 4th cancer fight in just over 3 years, thanking the fans and everyone who has helped him through it.
It's been like, to me, a miracle, really, to sit here with you guys. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me. Really, it's been unbelievable.
You're the best, pal. You're the best.
Tough 3 years. Those 4 cancer battles.
Oh, man. Dickie V said, if you know anyone fighting cancer, send them a text or give them a call to let them know you're there for them. The 85-year-old basketball legend announced in December that he was cancer-free, and so I sent him a text this morning. Let him know that I'm with him. Yeah. Coming up on our GMA morning menu, ESPN analysts Elle Duncan, Janae Ogumike, and Andrea Carter. They're all here live, looking good, telling us the big stories to watch for in Women's March Madness.
Also, at how one woman used her side hustle selling thrift store items to pay off her college loans, turned it into a full-time job.
And the top cleaning solutions as seen on social media. Plus, look who's in Times Square. Ellen Pompeo tells us about her new show. And Bobby Flay is serving up St. Patrick's Day dishes. It's all coming up right here on GMA. Stay with us.
Yes, we're back now with our GMA cover story. Full court press this morning with 3 of the biggest names in basketball analysis. We've got Elle Duncan, give it up for Elle, Janae Ogumike, and Andrea Carter, all from ESPN to talk about all things March Madness for the women's tournament. Let's bring it on, let's bring it on. Okay now, Selection Sunday, it's in the books. What stood out to you, Janae?
Honestly, the field is as open as it ever has been. And what's crazy is that we got people feeling snubs, from Dawn Staley to Coach Gottlieb, at USC. But to me, I think it's going to be really interesting because if you think about the most watched women's game this year, right? USC, UConn, either Paige Beckers or Juju Watkins will not be in the Final Four. I was mad. I wanted them both. But the fact that that's going to happen potentially in the Elite Eight, to me, is going to be super fun.
It's so amazing to see you all being quiet right now, because I know you always want to jump in with everything that's being said. Okay, last season was fantastic in the women's game. It kept going this year. The most watched in like 16 years for the regular season. Who should we be watching?
Oh. Okay, this is like whenever we talk about, like, on the NFL side, whenever an analyst is like, I'm picking the Chiefs, everyone calls you lazy and they're like, yeah, great analysis. But until somebody dethrones Dawn Staley, I'm going with South Carolina, because, Robin, I'm sorry, but like nobody else has 41 points coming off the bench. Nobody else has nobody else has those 10 All-Americans, the depth that they have, and then you're seeing some players like Chloe Kitts really round into form. I think that UConn game where they got embarrassed and they admitted it at home woke them up, and they are playing.
They've learned from those losses.
Yes.
All 3 of them. All right, Andrea. Now, you as a Lady Vol, you went to the big dance 4 times. Tennis Tennessee is the only women's team to make it to every tournament. It used to be Stanford and
Oh my gosh, don't do that.
You doing okay? Are you doing okay?
I just couldn't resist.
It's okay. It's okay. You know, it's okay. I took some big L's to Chennai, so it's something that just.
So what is the feeling? What is the feeling? You know, as a player, what is it like for them heading into the big dance?
It's so intense. There's so much pressure, Chennai. You know this. But it's so much fun. Like, some of my best memories are coming from traveling to the tournament, preparing for those games. You win, you turn around, you're prepping again. The intensity of it and the way it pulls you and your teammates together, there's just, we didn't have to bring up these old pictures, but there's the glow up is real. There's nothing like it.
You know what's funny, Drea? When you're talking, I think of, what is it, Dochi? Anxiety. It's so much anxiety, but they're on the other side of anxiety is accomplishment. So you've worked your entire season to really succeed at the highest levels, and you have to leave it all out there. So 3 Final Fours for me. Never got the big one. But it's still the most special basketball you'll ever play. And I play in the pros. It's the most special basketball you'll play in your entire life.
And it is for the fans. Filling out the brackets. Any advice?
No. Good luck. God bless.
Oh, you've got some nuggets. You've got some nuggets.
Yeah. So here's my advice, because everyone loves a good Cinderella story, and if you're filling out your men's bracket, you're hearing a lot of like an 11 seed always beats a 5. Something to know. Cinderella in a woman's seed is like a 3 seed. Nobody lower than a 3 seed has ever won the national championship on the women's side. So don't get too cute in those early rounds. We typically see it be pretty chalk. I'm probably going to jinx the field because I just said that.
That's all we do.
But I would say, I think 45 of the last 46 titles have gone to a 1 seed. So it would be smart to, at the very least, put 1 or 2 of those 1 seeds in your Final Four.
Give us some Cinderella teams to watch for.
It's wild, but we were saying this straight. Notre Dame, to me, despite being number 1 in the country, I know, Robin, just 21 days ago, they're a 3 seed now, which would technically put them as a Cinderella
team.
But if we're talking about teams that have really learned from their losses, the same way South Carolina has, I think Notre Dame has the opportunity. Some people have said, hey, this break is the best thing for us, and they still have probably the most talented backcourt in America. So Notre Dame, I would not like to see them in my bracket as a 3.
You know what? Well, an actual Cinderella, because this would be a 4 seed, but because they've done it before, Kenny Brooks at Kentucky, he's just one to watch out for. Now, where the trouble is he's in USC and UConn side of the bracket.
Good luck.
But if people wanted to, like you say, get cute, Kenny Brooks has been there before.
What about a 2? TCU. They've had a tremendous tournament. It's not like Cinderellas in women's college basketball are kind of, if you're not a number 1.
TCU is special though. They've Haley Van Lith, a ton of amazing transfers, and they have a big 3.
Went from open tryouts to now winning their conference.
Okay, let's give a rapid fire here. I'm going to start with you, Chennai. Men, women, who's going to win it all?
Oh, okay. Maybe it's a year of the SEC. Am I going to go with Tennessee?
Yeah, you do that.
Okay, cool. Well, just for you. And then women, I feel like until they get dethroned, it's South Carolina, but my number 2 would be USC.
Okay.
It's a year of Juju.
Men play basketball? Weird. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with Florida, because that feels as that you're men's. Okay, Florida, and then South Carolina.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Men for me, because Chennai picked Tennessee. Usually I would rock with my Vols. I'm gonna go Duke. I like this young Duke squad. I do. I like this young Duke squad.
Is he back?
He didn't finish in the tournament, but they're doing well without him, and I think now they've got some time to get him.
So Duke.
Should be good.
And
Buy some time.
Come on, girl.
For women, this one's tough. Whoever comes out of
No, come on, just say.
I was gonna say whoever comes out of UConn and USC.
So
Pick one. Who's coming out of it, Dre?
And be smart.
Wait, you picked 2 teams?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I just gave Juju some love, and I picked South Carolina.
Facts.
Wow.
Pick
okay. You really, when you put me on the spot, I'm not great. But you know what? I'm gonna say UConn.
Okay. Wow. And Paige's last year.
Not that I'm really about analysis, but it would be poetic for UConn to finally be healthy and for Paige Beckers to get a championship.
Can I just say something really quickly, Robin, that's also poetic, is that what's also really cool about the women's tournament is not just the competition and the matchups, but also all of those young girls that are in the stands that we get to see being inspired. And it is so full circle that you are such an inspiration to us as Black women broadcasters, like to get to come on your show and talk about basketball with you, our go. It is so fortuitous and prophetic, and thank you for having us.
We go back a long way.
Yes.
We go back a long way.
Yes, we do.
Proud of you all. And
thank
this was you just whetted our appetite.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I love watching you. Maybe I'll see you at the Final Four like I did last year.
Please.
That was a nice surprise.
Yes.
And the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament tips off this Wednesday with the first 4 games. Then the first round begins on Friday, and you can watch all the games exclusively. Where?
Yes.
Oh, on the networks.
And ABC.
Robin's working her way over here, but let's start with some pop news.
All right, George, let's do it. We're going to begin with some TV news that everyone will be excited about. Listen up, Ted Lasso fans. Believe me, you're going to want to hear this. Apple TV Plus has announced that the show is coming back for season 4 with Jason Sudeikis on board as Coach Lasso, and he will be pulling double duty, also serving as executive producer alongside Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent, and Brendan Hunt, who plays Coach Beard. Sudeikis is the only confirmed cast member so far for now, but he did give some plot details teasing the new season on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers. Take a look.
Season 4, is it in the works? Is it?
Are we allowed
I don't
to
know
say
what
that?
I'm allowed to ask.
No,
All
you're
right.
gonna. That's what we're writing. We're writing season 4 now. Yeah, that's the official word. Yeah, no, Ted's coaching. Yeah, a women's team. So that's
happening.
That's
Women's team.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Pretty good. We're coaching a women's team, changing things up. The news coming, of course, is a surprise after the season 3 finale. You saw Ted taking a flight back to Kansas, but we'll have to wait to see what they have in store because there's no word yet on a premiere date or anything other than it's happening. But pretty exciting.
Very.
And now time for some props, some prop news. I borrowed Lara's clipboard. I borrowed the coaches and the whistle. It works. More March Madness. It's our GMA Ultimate On-Screen Coaches Bracket. We have an update for our viewers. We would like to introduce our Elite 8. The fight for the championship going to be fierce. We had Coach Taylor edging out Happy Gilmore's Chubbs. Ted Lasso, we just talked about, he beat Coach Carter. Robin, I'm sorry, I guess not in your bracket. And in a Cinderella story, George Knox from Angels in the Outfield beating out Gene Hackman's Norman Dale from Hoosiers.
Wow.
The people have spoken.
Who cast these votes?
Well, anyone who goes to our Instagram stories, Lindsay. It's at GMA.
We appreciate that.
We got a big next round here, the Elite 8. We got Herman Boone against Mr. Miyagi. Let's remember the Titans against the Karate Kid.
Wax on, wax
Gordon
on.
Bombay, who upset. I would have voted for Herb Brooks over Gordon Bombay, but he's got Jimmy Dugan from A League of Their Own. And who else? Ted Lasso, Danny O'Shea. Yeah. Go to our Instagram stories right now. Cast your vote for the Ultimate On-Screen Coaches Bracket. Lara, I will put this back in your dressing room. And that's Pop News. Just soft.
Thank you, Will.
I think I need to be walking at this point. All right. Let's get me some gum and see if I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Hello, Lori Bergamato.
Good morning to
All right,
you.
so we have a lot of different supplies that you've seen on social media, and we're going to test it out to see what the hype is all about this morning. Talking in particular about spring cleaning, and all these items are shoppable. Our GMA lifestyle contributor Lori Bergamato has more. Now, this is something we talk about not enough. Cleaning your shoes, keeping them clean. My son just wants a new pair all the time. I'm like,
well, it's
no.
so funny you said that because I was going to say this is great for anybody, no matter what your stage of life is. But if you have kids, you need to get this. It's imperative because, as you mentioned, when they get dirty, it's like, and they will get dirty.
They're always dirty.
Yes. They just want a new pair. This will extend the life of your sneaker, and also it will extend the money that you've spent. So this costs under $10. You put the sneaker in, right? You'll zip this part up. Okay. You're going to throw it in your wash with the detergent. And the other thing about it, because I'm sure you've tried to wash your son's or your own sneakers, right? And it just makes a really loud clanking noise in your washing machine, and you're thinking, am I damaging my washing machine?
This keeps it soft.
This keeps it nice and soft. And Lindsay, when I tell you this has been a game changer for my family, because we've been able to get those kids in the same good-looking sneakers all year long. So it's really saved us a lot of money, and it just uses this mesh material here to let that detergent and that water get right through. You don't want to put them in the dryer, I should say that. You don't want to shrink them. And so you let them air dry. You can dry the bags. And then if you're doing white sneakers, you just want to make sure you're doing it in a cold rinse. So you can get these at Walmart.
Smart.
Really affordable.
I'm going to be picking some of those up.
Under $20.
Now, how about this? This is the necessity to put a light on your vacuum cleaner.
Yes, so there are a lot of vacuum cleaners out there that cost upwards of $600 that come with a light so that you're able to see every little dust particle, pet hair, every debris. This is under $10 on Amazon, and it attaches to almost any vacuum. So a Dyson, a Shark, a Bissell, whatever you have at home, and it uses green light so you can see all that dust and dirt there. and it will
Where
just
without it, you don't see it as
you
well.
don't see it as much, and it will allow you to be that much more efficient in your vacuuming.
All right, now we got cats recently, and no matter
Are
how
they
much
shedding?
we vacuum,
Okay, so this will be really satisfying for you
All right,
if you'd
let's
like
see.
to
How
do
do
the
you-
honors. Just go right ahead and rake it up.
Look at
so this is great if
that.
anybody has pets, like you mentioned, cats or
Yes.
dogs. But also if you don't, like I have little girls, their hair is always shedding, their long
It's
hair,
easy.
and it just makes very short work of that kind of annoying, gross job.
All right.
So again, under $10, really easy. This one is also really satisfying. We have Gary's very dusty calculator here. So you take this goo here, it's a dust cleaning gel, and it's so satisfying. You're able to clean it up like this. You can see it all coming out.
And you can get in between
You can get in
the
every
keys.
nook and cranny. People are going nuts for this on social media because it's great for a car, but it's also great for keyboards, iPad, anything that has those little nooks and crannies, that gets right in there, and you can reuse it. You can reuse it. It has a lot of uses, and when it turns dark, that's when you know it's done.
And this is car goo.
It's car goo. And then finally, this is one that I'm super excited about because it's not just about cleaning, it's about organizing. You can take that linen closet from a mess to a masterpiece. So this can fit a fitted sheet, a flat sheet, a duvet, and all you're gonna do is zip it up, go like this, you can label it, and then you'll never wonder,
So
does this
mom
pillowcase
sheets,
go with this? So easy.
Genius stuff here.
Stuff.
Thank you, Lori. That QR code on your screen takes you right to the products on our website. Coming up, Bobby Flay is here celebrating St. Patty's Day with us. Stick around.
I won't waste time. I won't waste time. There's 23 awards to give, it's all time.
That was Conan O'Brien, of course, at this year's Oscars. And now we have an announcement. He's coming back. He's going to host the 98th Oscars, reuniting with producing team Raj Kapoor and Katie Mullen. The 98th Oscars will be held Sunday, March 15th, 2026 on ABC.
And you're there at the tasting table. I'm here with Bobby Flay. We got a special St. Patrick's Day menu. I never think of steak for St. Patrick's Day.
No, I know. Well, that's the first thing you said to me. My mom always took the corned beef and the cabbage and threw it in some water and boiled it for hours, right? But I'm gonna show you how to get some flavor into your St. Patrick's meal. So we're gonna make steak.
Yeah, all right.
Applause for flavor. Okay, so we're gonna make some steaks and we're gonna make some cabbage. And first of all, I'm gonna make a.
First, you let them sit for a while, right?
Yeah, you want to take them out and get them room temperature. And I make a very simple spice rub, just with some coriander, some paprika, and a little salt and pepper. And then in a cast iron pan, a little cooking oil, very high heat. And then we let these sear spice side down. Mm-hmm. This way you guarantee a nice crust, and of course you want to get some flavor in there as well. 2 to 3
minutes?
About 2 or 3 minutes until it gets nice and crusty. You'll start to see the edges get really nice and brown, and then you can peek. But leave it alone, George. Don't keep flipping and turning.
Right.
Exactly.
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone, George.
And then on top, here's the St. Patrick's Day
Shamrock
twist.
butter.
Okay.
Yes. So, we all know about shamrock shakes, which basically it just tastes like a vanilla shake. But I'm going to get some flavor into our shamrock butter. So we have a bunch of herbs. We have parsley, we have scallions, we have some spinach, and then some roasted jalapeno peppers, a little salt and pepper, and then we just put it in a food processor and give it a whirl and just let that go. You're gonna fix that for me? Oh, thank you. No, that didn't work.
That doesn't work anyway.
This is what it looks like. Here it is, right here, nice and green. Okay. All right, then we come down here and we give these, a slice. And you want to make sure that the meat rests. Man, the crew is very excited about this.
We're getting steaks today.
Exactly. You want to make sure that these rest. We put some of the shamrock butter on here. Okay, and as I said, it has tons of flavor, nice and green for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. And fire away.
I love it. And you've got a special, I love this side here.
Okay,
seared
cabbage. Again, boiled cabbage, no flavor. Here we have some Napa cabbage. Again, a little spice rub here. So some paprika, some coriander, some caraway seed, and some fennel. And we just we sprinkle the spice rub onto the cabbage. And then again, cast iron pan, or a good
and is that high
pan.
heat as well?
Yeah, it's about medium high, okay? And we put the cabbage, straight down after you cut it, and you get this really great crust on the outside of it.
But only one side on the cabbage.
Only one side, okay, until it just kind of cooks through. And then I make a glaze to go on top. So it's honey, mustard, whole grain mustard, and some fresh mint and horseradish. And then when it comes out, we just kind of slather it.
Guys, what do you think? You guys are having dinner.
It's so good. I feel like cabbage got kale and Brussels sprouts PR team.
No, you're 100% right, and it needed it badly, for sure. All we need now is like a beer, a Guinness or something, and St. Patrick's Day all day long.
That's at 9:01 a.m.
You got to tell us about one of your side hustles, Made by Nacho.
Okay, Made by Nacho. So if people that really know me that cats are really important to me. So about 5 years ago, I started a cat food company called Made by Nacho, which is really, it's a cat food company with a purpose. And right now, we're giving away 50% of all the profits until April 5th, which is National Nacho Flay Day. Don't forget it. To Paws Cross, which is a rescue.
How did you get a National Nacho Flay Day?
Hey, that's the way it works. April 5th, National Nacho Flay Day. Nacho was an very important cat to me. And he looked at me one day and said, "You're feeding everybody across America. What about us?" So that's when I started Made by Nacho.
What a great
It's really
cause.
important to me.
Will you see these plates? Do you see these plates over here?
Exactly.
I was trying to slow down when I saw that I was outpacing Will.
I mean, come on. It's not, it's St. Patrick's Day, elevated a little bit, right?
All right. Yeah. Bobby, always good to have you.
Thank you so much,
You can get
George.
these recipes on GoodMorningAmerica.com. Be sure to catch Bobby on Beat Bobby Flay. That's Thursdays on the Food Network. And Ellen Pompeo is here live next.
Now, with Ellen Pompeo, she's been lighting up our screens for more than 20 years in ABC's longest-running primetime series, Grey's Anatomy. And now she's stepping into a new role in Hulu's limited series, Good American Family. Can we welcome back Ellen Pompeo here? We adore you. Oh, my gosh. First of all, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. This is a little bit of a different role for you. So what drew you to the project, and what is your hope for people who watch it?
Because it was so different from what I've been doing for so long. And I think my fans have been extremely loyal, and I can't disappoint them. So I had to really, do something that was going to grab their attention. And I think, what was the second part of your question? Sorry.
Like, what do you want people to get out of it watching it?
I want them to come on the ride.
It's a pretty wild story. Explain it to everybody.
So it's the story of a family who had dealt with a lot, and they had the idea that adopting a child, a daughter, would sort of add to their family and maybe fix some things, maybe heal some wounds. And sometimes when we have expectations of something will fix everything, things don't go our way. And
that's the ride.
That's the ride.
Wow.
Yeah, things didn't turn out as they expected. And how do you respond to that? When you have expectations of something and you make choices and then things don't go the way you thought they would, what choices do you make?
And you play the adoptive mother who ultimately feels that she's been deceived and really loses her cool. How do you prepare for something like that?
It was pretty intense at times. It's a pretty intense role, and there are some, pretty intense things that happen. I think, a double espresso and some chocolate.
Let's give everybody a look.
Amps you up.
I think you're the light that this little girl needs.
I'd have to talk to my husband.
Of course, absolutely. I know this is fast.
And what's her name?
Natalia Grace.
Natalia Grace. That is beautiful. Almost like a prayer.
Amen.
We're not going to give any more spoilers away on this one. We were talking just before we came on the air. You have 3 kids at home. You're in the middle of things right now.
I am, yes. Never dull. Neverdull.com is what I say.
Do they watch?
They don't. Well, my oldest has seen Grey's. My 10-year-old is wanting to watch it. I still am trying to hold off. I think that, some 10-year-olds have seen it, but it's not their mother. So I think it's a little different when you're 10 and it's your mother. So I'm trying to hold that off. And in this new show, they definitely, hopefully, won't see it. Hopefully they do not see it. But my 15-year-old will definitely watch it.
And you were saying how grateful you are to the loyal fans that you have who have been with you on this incredible ride for more than 2 decades now. What do you enjoy most about your character on Grey's?
I think seeing you know, how it's impacted people, how the show has impacted people. It's really extraordinary. So many people have gone into the field of medicine because of the show.
I gotta say, my daughter's not going into medicine, but she got a medical education by binging.
Well, not everything we do is, you know, when you talk to doctors are like, why do you do that? It just happened to me last week, actually. I was here last week at a restaurant, and someone came up to me, and I think he was a cardiologist, and he said, you hold the thing to, I was pleased. I don't make the choices. We try so hard. But I mean, the fans are just amazing. Can you believe these people who are staying with us for 20 years? You know, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of good content to watch. And they are definitely ride or dies. And I'm really grateful for them.
And you've stepped back from a full-time role, but still every once in a while you make a visit back to the hospital, narrate as well. What can we expect from Meredith in the future?
The storyline, so I appear in the finale, and my character for Meredith is, I'm very focused on women's health and paying attention to women's health. And so I always try to work with the writers, and they're great, to shape our stories, to bring attention to women's health issues, because there isn't enough attention paid to it, and we're losing funding every day for women's cancers and women's health. So anytime we can tell stories about that, that's where I feel like we're doing the most good.
And where does that passion stem from with you to want to do that? Where does that stem from?
I don't know. I just, you know, we have a huge platform, you know, and we have a responsibility, and we got to stick up for each other and do what we can for each other. Yeah.
Well, I have spent several times on the set, and you all are just such a family, and just so incredibly grateful for how you all have graced our screens all these years. And we come away with a message. And Good American Family is going to be the same kind of thing. Wonderful to see you in this role, Ellen.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we want people to know that Good American Family premieres Wednesday on Hulu, and Grey's Anatomy airs Thursday nights at 10 Eastern and Pacific on ABC. Streams the next day on Hulu.
Now to our series Money Smart, a woman help pay off her student loans by reselling thrifted items. Stephanie Ramos here with her story. Good morning, Stephanie.
George, good morning. That young woman paid off her student loans and then some by reselling those thrifted items. And she says she's always had an eye for a good deal, and it started when she'd go couponing with her grandmother. Now she's turned reselling into her full-time job.
I sold this pair of Lululemon leggings for $80, and I bought them for $1. My name is
Kelsey McCula first started reselling thrifted items as a side hustle until her skyrocketing profits helped pay off her $80,000 student loans in just 3 years.
I was making more money reselling thrifting items and selling them online for profit than I was working an administration job at a hospital.
The 27-year-old has now turned reselling into her full-time job, raking in $12,000 per month. She spent about $1,800 strategically buying the clothes, then posting them online at a higher price.
This Smythe blazer sold for $350 in 99 days, and I made a net profit of $300 on it. I will go to a thrift store locally. I'll look for items for profit, and this involves a lot of researching, looking through item by item. From there, I'll check what it's selling for on eBay and decide whether it's worth it for me, worth my time to pick up that item. And once I do find something that's worth selling, I'll bring it home. I'll throw it up on a wall, photograph it, and I'll list it to Poshmark, eBay, all the different sites. Once it sells, I'll ship it to the customer.
McCula credits her success to a growing interest in sustainability and secondhand shopping, along with the convenience of buying pieces online with the simple click of a button.
I get a lot of comments of people almost sticking up for resellers, saying that I don't want to go thrifting to find this item, so I'm happy to pay somebody else to find the item for me.
And for those looking to begin their reselling journey, here's her advice.
I know you have stuff laying around in your closet that you can find. Health and beauty items sell really well. Go through your own personal belongings and get started.
Some really good tips. Kelsey says it's not easy work, but if you start by just taking a look around your own home, it's a good start. She says the best part is getting to work for herself, thrifting for a living, and she gets to rehome great pieces from around the world. George, I'm sure you've got some winners in your closet.
And you are welcome to go through and throw out anything that's there.
I'd love to.
Thanks, Stephanie. Coming up, a St. Patrick's Day performance by the cast of Riverdance.
Back now with a special treat for St. Patrick's Day. It's Riverdance, celebrating 30 years performing their unique brand of Irish dance and music. They're currently on an extended U.S. tour, but right now they are right here in Times Square to perform their song, Riverdance.
Not only that, we just had Riverdance. What a great performance for St. Patrick's Day.
We'll see you tomorrow.